Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and today I'm going to review the Blu Ray edition of the Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. You can also find me over Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Movie Guy 365, as well as over at the Disney Magic Hour podcast. I will put a link for that in the description. Alright, so we're going to do a quick review of the Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. If you want to hear my thoughts on the actual movie itself, go ahead and find me over at Letterboxd. I give a full detailed review over there. But we're going to talk about the picture quality and audio in this video. But first, let's do a quick unboxing. Alright, the Jay and Silent Bob Reboot has included a slipcover, which is always appreciated. So here we have our back cover and the spine. And as we dive in, it's essentially the same. So front and back, and then a little bit of artwork on the disc, but standard blue background there. So, all right, enough about the unboxing. Let's talk about the picture quality and the audio. I'm happy to say that the Blu Ray picture quality of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot is actually pretty clean. And I believe it was shot digitally, so it definitely has that clean look, no film grain to speak of. I didn't detect any kind of grain whatsoever throughout the film, but I feel ultimately, while it was shot digitally, the overall style did lend itself to a more filmic look, as most of the films do typically under Kevin Smith. I think it was shot particularly good. There was a little moments here and there of brief saturation, just a couple scenes, mostly having to do with there's a particular scene with the clan, for lack of a better word, in the nighttime in the fire. That looked a little bit kind of washed out at times, and there were a couple daytime scenes that suffered from that. But I think overall that the actual picture quality is rendered very good in 1080p. I didn't really detect any other issues. I felt that the overall color palette was very pleasing. There's lots to enjoy in that aspect. Everything from Chronic Con to, when they visit Brody in his shop. There's a lot of color punch in those particular aspects. Details look good, especially as our characters have aged. You definitely notice that effect more so. Of course, Jay in particular looked a little bit more worse for wear in that regard, but he's it looks great. There's a fair amount of detail throughout the film that looks good. No issues there, and black levels I think were pretty consistent. Just the tiniest bit of macro blocking on one nighttime scene that I noticed, but for the most part, those scenes are rendered pretty nicely. A very overall pleasing looking image. Audio-wise, surprisingly, kind of a nice boosty track. Several musical cues, when they kick in, they overwhelm the soundstage, and I think rightly so. They don't interfere with what's happening on screen. They go with what is happening story-wise. So I didn't feel anything was particularly drowned out. That being said, I detected very little in ambience or really anything coming from the rear speakers. On occasion, there were pops of sound here and there. Watching the movie throughout, it is definitely one of those things where I was trying to pick it up intentionally. A couple times, maybe just really briefly. So your soundstage is relegated mostly to the front, and it's very front heavy, and that's perfectly fine. You definitely get a lot of dialogue that came through very clean, easy to understand through the center. Your LFE kicks in very frequently. There's a lot of bass to this one. So as I mentioned, musical cues and that sort of thing really kind of ramp that up to life. And your front channels are generally well used and regarded. I think overall it's a very pleasing audio track. So that's my review for the Jay and Silent Bob Reboot Blu-ray. I'm going to go ahead and give the picture quality on that one a B+. I think it's very good. Just a couple little saturation moments here and there. But for the most part, everything looks spot on. And audio-wise, I'm going to give that a solid B. Just very little use going on through the rears. But overall, what's going on in the front really happens frequently, and it sounds good. Very robust overall, front-heavy kind of audio mix. So that's my review. Let me know in the comments below if you had a chance to check out the Reboot and what were your thoughts. And don't forget, if you want to hear my thoughts on it or see my thoughts on it, go ahead and check me out over at Letterboxd. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.